What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan, and this is the Thunder Channel on Nootropics. Thanks so much for being with me. I'm going to talk about fixing your sleep, but really the process of identifying why it is you're not sleeping well, and then how to go through the process of fixing it, right? There's a particular way to address really any issues with physiology, and then experiment to figure out what's working, what isn't working, and to build upon that. And I want to explain it to you guys around sleep. In the meantime, Black Friday sales live at livecortex.com. Coupon code 15 across the board to every one of our products takes 15% off of everything. That is the Cortex stack, powerful pre-made nootropic stack. I mean, motivation, mental energy, verbal fluency in a capsule. 2 capsules, really. Think about it. Very, very powerful. Those of you that don't do auto ship or don't know what auto ship is, Cortex gets shipped to your doorstep every month at the same time for cheaper if you do auto ship. If you're new to Cortex, just sign up for auto ship. And if for some reason you hate the stack or don't like it, you can just cancel it, but you'll get it cheaper anyway. Auto ship, livecortex.com. Nootropics Ground Zero, video course for people that are new to using nootropics. Teaches you everything, shows you the ropes, gives you stacks, gives you a framework. That's also 15% off. So is the Nootropics Masterclass, 15% off right now, livecortex.com. A more advanced nootropics course. Viking Testosterone Protocol for guys trying to raise test. 15% off right now, livecortex.com. And actually, the 3.5-month and the 6-month consults, these are one-on-one kind of neuroengineering consults where we're focusing on building an exceptional brain for you. And if there's energy baseline issues, well, we have to fix those. If there's hormonal issues, we got to fix those too. If you're coming off a pharmaceutical stimulant like Adderall or something dopamine-centered, and you can function, we can repair the chemistry and then get you on a regimen that makes you function really awesomely. The 3.5-month and 6-month programs are 15% off right now using the coupon code 15. So that'll save you a good bit of money because those are up there. Okay, so let's talk about fixing sleep. So I think the first thing you have to address, which most people at this point probably already have addressed, is am I waking up in the middle of the night and then cannot go back to sleep after that? Or is the issue that I'm having a hard time falling asleep? You know, those are really the two categories, falling asleep or staying asleep. Let's just take the example of you're waking up in the middle of the night and then you can't get back to sleep as a start. So I'm going to build a framework upon that. So step number 1 would be identify the chemistry. You're in that case looking at either cortisol surges, because at 6 or 7 a.m., is when cortisol kind of surges the most for most folks, given that the system is functioning correctly. So it could just be surging extremely early for you for one reason or another. The biggest causes of weird, wacky cortisol surges at times when it's not supposed to surge, the biggest cause I found is a lack of dietary carbohydrates. That's the biggest cause I've seen in fluctuations in cortisol generally on the lower end, trending on the lower end, and then having weird surges at weird times. So if you're somebody that's waking up in the middle of the night and you can't go back to sleep and you're on a low carb diet, you probably should consider that and start bringing the carbs back in. Whatever your reasoning for low carb is, some legit, some not. It's like, you know, sleep is the cornerstone of your energy. So that would be one thing. The other thing to look at, if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you cannot go back to sleep, it's obviously anxiety-based, right? Your brain is probably ruminating. So some of these things may have to do with your life, and like it's not a chemical issue necessarily, at least not to begin with. The root is your life and things going on in your life. Meditating 20-30 minutes before bed would be a great strategy to try to prevent that from happening. Also, something that I do, like whether I'm taking a night stack or not, is I breathe for 20 minutes. I just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. I do that for 20 minutes straight. And then after 15, 20 minutes, my body starts doing it on its own. You forget throughout the day to breathe. That's a critical, simple thing that folks can do to sort of align physiology and calm yourself down. The other reason that people wake up in the middle of the night, it's primarily GABA-centric, but then it branches off into a bunch of other reasons or things that could be causing that. I see people taking pharmaceutical anxiety medication that usually have this problem. They'll go to sleep okay, usually after some sort of cocktail of benzos, then wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. and they can't go back to sleep. And either have to take a sleeping aid, a pharmaceutical sleeping aid, or redose the benzos or whatever. And that's probably because the benzo receptors, which are located at the GABA A sites, are in withdrawal of the synthetic GABA, if you will, the binding to the GABA receptors, the benzo receptors. That's what's happening. Is there a quick fix for that? Not really. The longer term fix would be to remove the pharmaceutical anti-anxiety medications slowly while trying to replenish normal GABA concentrations by using compounds like picamilin, flush niacin, a couple hundred milligrams throughout the day. Like at any time during the day, just take 200 to 300 milligrams and sit and flush. Like you'll be restoring over time GABA glutamate balance. Another great way to deal with GABA at night is high-dose theanine. High-dose theanine. It's one of the only nootropic compounds, I guess besides picamilin, that will actually give you brain-usable GABA. It'll increase brain concentrations of GABA. And I'm talking in the 700 to 1,000 milligram range. So if you find yourself waking up and it's related to GABA, try taking a gram of theanine. Back to the cortisol thing, if you've done dietary changes and that's not helping you, ashwagandha may help you. It may, right? If it's stress hormone related and generally stress related, ashwagandha will help. Here's the protocol: 2 grams before you go to bed, okay? Like an hour or so before you go to sleep. That should do it for most folks that are having a cortisol issue that have tried everything else, but they know it's a cortisol surging issue because they've eliminated the notion that it could be GABA or something else. Then though, if you do still wake up, dose another 1.5 grams. You can go up to 4 grams, 3.5 grams ashwagandha and be perfectly okay. It's adaptogenic and it's jarring your nervous system to respond better to stress. And what that really means downstream in the chemistry is balancing GABA glutamate in that particular situation and hopefully lowering resting cortisol like ashwagandha does. So, it's like you have to go through the process of being very specific. What is it? Am I waking up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep? Well, it's anxiety, right? Like your brain is ruminating. It's either insufficient signaling of GABA, lack of GABA projection and quantity in this sort of releasable pool, or it's a cortisol problem. If it's cortisol, look at your diet. Eat more carbs. If you're having cortisol issues where it's surging at weird times, eat more carbohydrates. You need carbohydrates to sort of balance out a lot of things, mostly cortisol, to keep it level. It's not going to necessarily raise or lower it. It'll keep you from having extremely low cortisol when you wake up in the morning, which is terrible. And it'll prevent you from surging it at the wrong times, like 3:30 a.m. is absolutely the wrong time. Otherwise, it's a GABA glutamate issue. And if you're taking benzos or anything pharmaceutical that is an anti-anxiety chemical, you really want to look at starting to slowly taper while simultaneously rebuilding the GABA projection in your brain by taking 300 milligrams flush niacin throughout the day. Once or twice even, you go up to 1 gram of that stuff in this particular situation. Or dosing 100 to 200 milligrams of picamilin before bed. That'll give you brain GABA. The other option in that particular case is 700 milligrams to 1 gram of L-theanine. Additionally, in these situations, if it's GABA glutamate related, high-dose fasiracetam has been extremely useful for clients that I've worked with, for myself in certain times when I was having issues sleeping and it was GABA glutamate related. I'm talking in the 60 to 80 milligram range. So if all else fails, bring in some fasiracetam and try it. I would say lastly, right, if you exhausted all those options and nothing's helping, I would high-dose glycine. Glycine. Glycine is a chemical that is exceptional for when you go to sleep, allowing you to stay asleep, right? It's not directly working on GABA, indirectly working on GABA, but high glycine concentrations affect excitatory neurotransmission in a way that dampens it. Right? Glycine in and of itself doubles as a neurotransmitter, an inhibitory one. So if you're taking 2 to 5 grams of it in the middle of the night or before bed, you could really try both, like a couple grams before bed, a couple grams if you wake up. That should dampen down some of the other excessive neurotransmitter functions so that you can ultimately end up sleeping well. Last tip that I would give folks on this is when you're experimenting, like say you brought in glycine, and after 2 nights of dosing 2 grams before bed and 2 grams when you wake up in the middle of the night ruminating, you have no positive results, you still don't know if glycine can help you. And it may take time for it to kind of work its magic on exerting inhibitory action on excessive neurotransmitter firing at that time. The same is true with ashwagandha. The same is true with fasiracetam. Same is true with theanine. Meaning, you kind of need to give things 5, 6, 7 days. If you're going to determine anything in your regimen is ineffective, you need at least 5 days of executing it to see if it's really ineffective. Because there's just so many other variables involved that you can't make that decision so quickly. You can't make that decision quickly. You kind of have to give it time. Anything that I'm trying to do, like, again, recently I started fussing with pycnogenol again. You got to give it a lot of time to see if it isn't really positively affecting me. Interestingly, pycnogenol affects me pretty much right away, and I knew positively it was affecting me, but it's like, if I noticed nothing, I would have given it 7 days more just to notice. Pretty much everything that I do, whether it's a new NAC regimen for one reason or another, or it's quercetin. I've been taking a lot of quercetin lately, like giving it time to see if it's affecting you positively. Because a lot of people, and like something else caused them to have some sort of weird effect or it not to work necessarily, or there's just other things going wrong, will just sort of, I don't think extricate's the right word, just not use something and discount its efficacy because it isn't working right away. You may have to give it 7 days, okay? So the real point of this is like to give people make people step back a little bit and say, like, first identify, am I waking up in the middle of the night, is that the problem? Or is it as I'm going to sleep? Look at cortisol and GABA. Which one is it? Test first, right? Take the adaptogens, rhodiola, ashwagandha, tulsi holy basil, to see if that affects cortisol, but give it time, give it 7 days. See if you don't wake up in the middle of the night, right? If you've done everything you can, make sure you're eating a lot of carbs so that you don't have weird fluctuating cortisol surges at odd times in the day. That's one of the things that absolutely gives people really, really weird cortisol surges and a general imbalance trending in the low end for most of the day and then surges at weird times. GABA glutamate. Look, if you're in that unfortunate situation where you're having to take pharmaceutical anti-anxiety medications, like you got to work on tapering, and you can't be on them you could be on them forever, but it's profoundly not good for brain chemistry. Profoundly. All of those classes of medications are ultimately not great. And I know it's difficult because folks don't know, like, well, people are taking this sometimes for like weird neurological pain, neuropathy, jaw pain, etc. It's like, well, what's causing it, right? You got to get to the root of that. Picamilin, highly effective. Flush niacin for restoring GABA transmission as a general dynamic over time. And that may take months, but you have to start now. Okay, you got to start now. L-theanine, high doses, 700 to 1,000 milligrams, even more. You can go up to 4 grams of theanine, right? Should give you brain concentrations of GABA that's effective. Picamilin before bed or even when you wake up in the middle of the night, giving you actual brain usable GABA, unlike a regular GABA supplement, which has a difficult time giving you brain GABA. May give you some, but not a whole lot. Most importantly, just be nuanced about it. Be really, really clear about what you're doing and identifying what exactly the problem is. Giving yourself time to experiment with things before you rule them out, and then continuing the adjustment process. Whenever anything goes wrong with my physiology, and things do go wrong with my physiology, I'm 37, things go wrong from time to time. I go through this process, right? And it may take me 7 days, 14 days. In some cases, it may take me 21. I don't know why I'm going in 7-day increments, but it may take me a month to fully get a hold of the chemistry that is at the root of what's causing my sleep issue, my brain fog at certain times of the day, my whatever, my anxiety. It may take me some time. Other weird things that could happen, like it runs the gamut, who the hell knows? Sometimes it takes time. You got to give it the time, and you have to have the patience, because the most unconstructive thing you could do is give up too quick and then make conclusions that this isn't working, that isn't working, and then you're in doc's office and he's gonna be like, oh, well, here, take this antidepressant or something. You don't want that, okay? Hope that makes sense. Thank you so much for watching. Sleep is the mother of all productivity and brain function. For men and women, it's a critical pillar in having an energized brain and generally feeling good in life. And so are daytime naps, but also so is coffee. 15% off everything at livecortex.com. Please go get some product. That is kind of a Black Friday special. It's ongoing for now. It'll end somewhat soon, though. We're looking at a couple days from now, just after Thanksgiving, past the weekend. So you don't have much time to get stuff, especially if you're thinking about, well, Cortex, powerful pre-made stack, 15% off, livecortex.com, coupon code 15, Nootropics Ground Zero, 15% off, Nootropics Masterclass, 15% off, Viking Testosterone Protocol, 15% off, consults, one-on-one 3.5-month or 6-month brain engineering consults, 15% off. That's a big buck when it comes to the consults. Do that at livecortex.com, coupon code is 15. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope everyone stuffed their face with butter rolls and stuffing. And we'll talk to you next time.